Hi Jordan, my question is, what is the antidote towards toxic masculinity?
What precisely, since we're going to pursue this, what precisely is toxic masculinity? As opposed to, say, toxic femininity or toxic humanity. What exactly are you asking me about?
I really want to know what you like, how you would describe toxic masculinity.
No, I want you to define what toxic masculinity constitutes. Since we're going to define things so carefully, let's do it.
Okay, I think that the moment when you kind of, I have a hard time to kind of describe it in English. Let's say, that you kind of go over a boundary that kind of.
Dr. Peterson dismantled this woman so hard that she forgot how to speak English.
Describe it in English.
She went in speaking the English language, and she left speaking gibberish.
Let's say, I have a hard time to kind of.
The antidote to what people so-called toxic masculinity is to get rid of the brainwashed people.
Of boys in their little muscle shirts.
Men are not meant to be dominant. Men are meant to be submissive.
Life's too short to exercise. I'm just gonna be honest. There are so many better things to do than exercise.
It's about when you do that and there's like muscles there. Nobody cares about that.
It hurts me to see how corrupted you are.
And can cry. So it's okay to be weak.
It is okay to be fat.
If you work out strictly for appearance-based reasons, you are fat phobic.
He needs some milk.
No. You should be a monster, an absolute monster. And then you should learn how to control it.
That's not masculine, that's toxic masculinity.
Buzzword. The buzzwords. What is toxic masculinity?
You should know that. You should know that.
Yes, I'm asking you.
No, I'm just saying that there is that kind of perception where I guess men can't yes, they could be the provider in the family, but they also can't show emotion or stuff like that. I feel like, or they just get so mad, or like their emotions are so high where they end up showing it in anger. I feel like that happens a lot, and I've seen that firsthand.
Okay.
What?
If only this woman's eyelashes were not windshield wipers, then possibly maybe she can see the truth, because by definition of a woman's toxic masculinity, it is her way to describe or shame anything a man does that she does not like. For example, setting boundaries, calling out her bad behavior, not tolerating a woman's disrespect.
Do you think toxic masculinity is more likely to come from an alpha or beta male?
Alpha.
Alpha.
Be quiet. Cook. Shh.
At what point does masculinity become toxic masculinity?
If they're too demanding,
arrogant,
overwhelming, egotistical.
I feel like when they're taking over the relationship and it's like unbalanced energy, that's what it is for me.
Yeah, for sure. When it becomes unbalanced and they use that masculine energy as power over you and they become controlling.
I feel like it's when they let that masculinity become their only personality trait and they almost feel disgusted with doing anything that may be considered more feminine.
Let me make this abundantly clear. Masculinity is not toxic, but the lack of masculinity is.
Talk about weak men. This is what's scariest about this entire agenda they're trying to purport, because their ideas, like the feminist idea and like the mainstream idea and like Logan Paul's ideas, all their ideals is if we weaken men, then if they become weak enough, they'll no longer be a threat. And I argue that point absolutely. I think the most dangerous men on earth are the weak men. I think inside of every single man, we're born with a fire inside of us that if we do not control, can destroy ourselves and other people. And if you look at men who have no emotional control, because that's what they're trying to teach us to have. They're saying, listen, you're a man, You're allowed to just cry all the time and have no emotional control, no stoicism, just react to your emotions. Do you know what happens when you tell men to just react to their emotions? Anger. You have school shootings. You have violence. That's what happens when you tell men to have no emotional control. These school shooters are kids with no emotional control. They're men with no emotional control. Violence and the you see on the street are men with no emotional control. Telling men to not be stoic is going to create a breed of violent young men who have no emotional control, can't control their emotions.
I see a backlash against masculinity, and a sense that there's something toxic about masculinity.
But what is this idea of being
such.
over? Why is society overly feminized?
Well, I didn't ever say that society was overly feminized. So if we're going to discuss my views, we should use my actual words. I believe that there's a danger in our society at the moment of making the assumption that our culture, for example, is a tyrannical patriarchy, which it is in some small part, and that any active engagement on the part of young men in particular is indistinguishable from an unacceptable power and dominance drive, which I don't believe.
But surely
all of that is inappropriate and incorrect.
If much of the power and authority over a very long historical period has lain with men, isn't it only inevitable that some men will get a little hacked off when women are given a stab at something approaching equality?
Well, that could be inevitable, but that doesn't make it right, and it's certainly not something that I support. So
So you think men's resentment is more important than women's effort to attain equality?
I'm not in favor of resentment at all. I think that if you're resentful, something's definitely wrong. Either you need to grow the hell up and take stock of your life, or you have some things to say to people that you haven't been saying.
You say science undoubtedly shows us that men and women have different traits, and there's a lot of science to back you up on that. But you say that because of that, men are hardwired to achieve success and to be successful in a way that women are not.
No, not at all. I've never said anything like that. I've said that there are biological differences between men and women that express themselves in temperament and in occupational choice, and that any attempt to enforce equality of outcome is unwarranted and ill-advised as a consequence.
And yet some of the most successful societies, judged on contentment indices or indeed material success, are those, for example, in Scandinavia.
Where the temperamental differences between men and women are larger than they are in any other society.
Well, so you point out that in Scandinavia many more women choose to be health workers than engineers, for example.
It's not what I say, it's what the large-scale scientific investigation has revealed.
Fair enough. But equally, Scandinavia is full of societies, one could point to Norway, where they've made a specific legislative effort, for example, with a quota of 40% of women on corporate boards or a quota for women to be in parliament.
Right.
They've specifically engaged in social engineering, and it seems to be working, and it seems to
Doesn't seem to be working particularly.
Forgive me, but Norway is top of every contentment index that we see across the world.
Well, okay, so first of all, Norway has plenty of oil money, which is definitely contributing to that. And second, it depends on what you mean by working. There's no evidence, for example, that the legislation that was designed to increase the number of women on boards has produced any movement whatsoever in the number of women who hold managerial and administrative positions in Norway. The theory was that as societies became more egalitarian, that men and women would become more the same. But that isn't what's happened. What's happened is the biggest differences between men and women now, temperamentally and in terms of their own interest, have manifested themselves in the Scandinavian countries. And so what that will mean is that men and women will make different choices in occupation if you let them have free choice. Now, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to stop that from happening? Is that the feminist perspective?
Let's get back to a word I used before and ask you directly. Do you approve of, do you think it's a dangerous word, equality? This word equality.
I approve of equality of opportunity, but I think that equality of outcome considerations are detestable and dangerous beyond belief.
When he said equality of outcome is dangerous beyond belief, that is a profound statement by Dr. Peterson, because when it comes to feminists and feminism, they do not want equality. They do not want respect. They want compliance to their own ill agenda.
There is a large contingent of the population. There's a large contingent of men out there who don't want to wear makeup, who don't want to be girls, who don't want to be told they're toxic because they want to go to the gym, who want to drive nice cars, who want to have money, who want to have hot chicks. And there's nothing wrong with us. We are not evil. We are not bad. We're not misogynistic. We're not out to hurt anybody. Let me tell you one more thing. When bad things happen, they call men like us. The feminists who hate us and call us toxic, the second they have trouble, they'll call a police officer. Do you think they want a feminist male to turn up or a man like me and you?
I don't know. I feel like super safe and a little bit more like
I feel safer
confident.
around masculinity. Femininity is more like happy.
We're happier.
They need us and they use us. But the second we have an opinion, the second I decide to voice and talk about the things that we talk about, explain our points of view, they want to cancel us. They don't want us to speak. They just want us to defend them, build the railroads, build the roads, be the workhorses, be the slaves, and they think we're not allowed our point of view. Well, they made a fucking mistake because I, like every great leader throughout history, charge first before my army. Cavalry charge at the enemy. You can cancel me. I'm about to pave the road for every other man out here with an opinion who's going to get canceled. I'll show you where to fucking go. Bro, let's get ready to rumble.
Just a friendly reminder. Whenever a woman says she does not like a dominant masculine man,
It's not masculine, that's toxic masculinity.
10 out of 10 times that woman is getting her back blown out by a masculine dominant man.
Does a man have to be masculine in order to attract a woman?
For me, yes. Yes.
Does a woman need to be feminine in order to attract a man?
Yes, for me, yes.
Do you think women are more attracted to masculine or feminine men?
I believe more masculine. You just feel safe.
I feel safe.
Honestly, and it's just hot.
It's hot.
That he's able to like care for me and like protect me when we're out in public.
He's a provider. He can take care of me. Also put in that assertiveness. That's what I like about the masculine energy.
What is the difference between masculine and feminine energy?
I feel like feminine energy is like, just, you know, it relates back to like, I feel like old times, like womanish roles and like the feminine energy that go along with that. Like men should, in my opinion, men should open the door and just like feminine energy, and masculine energy is more of like the, not in control, but just like the leader of the relationship, in my opinion. So
Now, before I end this video, there are two things I would like to say. The first one, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Number two, when Ethan said this,
Life's too short to exercise. I'm just going to be honest. There are so many better things to do than exercise. Life's too short to exercise.
life is too short to exercise. Well, guess what, pancake lover? Life will be shorter if you don't.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Diet culture is inherently not body positive.
I'm a big fat failure. I never was very good at diets, and then I was just like, well, screw it.
Athleticism can be at every size. So right now I'm 100% healthy.
I swim 2.5 kilometers a day.